Hey there, I'm Shauna, and my superpower name is RubyKay. And I wanted to just give you a little background on my story and how I got to where I am after living with autoimmune issues for over 25 years, and now living a holistic lifestyle that makes me feel amazing, makes me excited to wake up in the morning, and is virtually symptom-free. So it all started back when I was about 15 years old, and I had a few onset symptoms presenting, and we thought maybe it was mono or something like that. We didn't really know. And so I went to the doctor as a teenager. They never really discovered what it was, but I was one of those kids, and I don't know if you can relate to this at all, but I was involved in as many things as I could be in high school. I loved theater. I was the lead of the plays, musicals. I was the captain of the cheerleading team. I was in student council for a few years. I loved being a part of all of the things. It made me very happy, but it also made me extremely busy. And so I had a lot going on. And after I graduated from high school, my body was exhausted. It was done. And it basically gave me a huge warning sign that it was shut down and it needed to rest. I woke up in the morning and I felt paralyzed from the hips down. I could not move my legs. In fact, there were many mornings I would wait until somebody could help me get to the bathroom in order to get up in the morning. It was awful. It was so embarrassing. And at that time I went and I was put on some different medications that were supposed to be helping me. And one of them I had a very severe reaction to, and it put me right into the hospital. They kept pumping me full of things in the hospital, and I was so discouraged, and I was feeling worse and worse. And I finally asked the doctors, I said, I'm 18 years old and I don't want to be here anymore. Can I check myself out of here? He said, I don't recommend it, but you can do whatever you want to do. I pulled those IVs out of my arms, I signed the paper, and I walked myself out. And from that day forward, I said to myself, I am going to do anything I can do to choose natural solutions that will help me feel better as opposed to things with terrible side effects. I'm not against medications. There is a time and a place where they are so helpful, and modern science and Western medicine is so beneficial, and I'm so grateful for the day and the age that we live in. What I knew for me is that my body was not responding well to the things that they were putting me on, and I was having all kinds of adverse reactions that were worse than my symptoms of just my everyday living without them. So I decided to start my journey of health and wellness at the age of 18, and from that point on I started to see different chiropractors and naturopathic doctors and things like that would help me with supplements, and I did everything from the Max Gerson therapy, if you're familiar with that at all, to juicing and eating vegan for many years, and just doing what I could naturally to support my body. Sometimes it helped, sometimes it didn't. I mean, I got along okay, and I got through my daily routines to the best of my ability, but I struggled with lots of different issues all the time. And I was told at the age of 21 that I should get a full hysterectomy because my endometriosis was so bad that it was the best solution for me at that time. But I looked at the doctor and I said, I don't even have a boyfriend right now. Like, my boyfriend and I broke up, and because they said, if you want any chance of having kids, you need to have it now, and then we'll do the hysterectomy and just get this out. And that's when I said, I don't even have a boyfriend. I'm not ready to have a baby. This is not in the cards. I'm gonna wait on this and see what God allows for me or doesn't allow me in the future, and was willing to just deal with the pain of the endometriosis. And it was a couple of years later that I did end up getting back together with my high school sweetheart, and we got married, and God blessed us with two beautiful biological kiddos. After my second kid was born, my son, my body was again at one of those places where it was exhausted. I was not sleeping well. My symptoms were through the roof with all of my different things, and I shut down again. My body just decided enough was enough. And I went into the hospital, into quarantine actually, where they had to go into a special room if they wanted to see me and get fully suited up. Nobody could touch me. And the reason is my body broke out head to toe in these giant quarter-sized pustules. It was absolutely disgusting, and the doctors didn't know what was going on with me. They didn't know if it was contagious or what was happening. And at that time, I had never let the doctors fully diagnose me with anything particular, because I knew that it would be hard for medical insurance and always have that stamp on me that I had all these diseases and I didn't want to be officially diagnosed. But now with having 2 kids, and I think I was about the age of 29 about this time, that I figured I need to know what's going on. I need them to finally diagnose me and tell me all of what is happening so that I can do my best to really conquer what is happening or deal with what is happening. So they did a series of biopsies, skin biopsies. I got hole punched 4 different times. We did blood tests on blood tests, blood tests and hair samples and urine samples. We did everything to test all the things. It took about 6 months for everything to come back and to finally get my final diagnosis. And the list of what I had was very extensive. I'll give you what I can remember off the top of my head, but I was diagnosed with mixed connective tissue disease, systemic lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, scleroderma, Raynaud's, Sweet syndrome, which was what had broken out in the pustules, and polymyositis, dermatomyositis, erythema nodosum. Of course, I knew I had already had endometriosis. And just to top it off, when I was 21, years prior, I had gone to Africa for the summer. 2 summers I actually went, and came back with a lovely form of malaria called dengue fever. So that also had a role in all of these other things that were happening to my body. So I was one big ball of a mess. I think I got most of my diagnosis for you, but I can let you know if you're more interested in all of the things at another time. I'd be happy to give you that information, and you can look through my medical folders and learn it all yourself. So anyway, I was very, very sick, and I had 2 little kids, and I was just trying to do my best to get along. But in my mind, I still chose, and I knew inherently that I did not want to do the typical medicines, and I continued to choose to look for natural solutions, natural options that would support my system, because I was looking at it at such a young age of thinking, oh my goodness, if I have to be on medicines with all these lists of side effects for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that's going to compile, and it's going to be so ugly in 40 years from now, what I'm going to be dealing with from all of these potential side effects that I could get from these other medications. So if I can do natural lifestyle, if I can choose things that don't have that, that's what I'm going to continue to choose. But man, I was just so sick. By the time my son was in kindergarten and my daughter was in 1st grade, I remember not really being able to walk them down the street to school in the morning, and I was in so much pain. I would have ulcers lining down my throat that were like nickel size and oozing, and I would have laryngitis for weeks upon end. My bones hurt. It felt like I was walking on rocks all the time. My feet, because I had all these nodules on the bottoms of my feet, it was just so painful to walk. And I would have rashes all over my skin constantly. It was just seriously uncomfortable. I was so exhausted. By the time I'd walk my kids just a half of a block to the school, which you could literally see from our house, I would come back and I'd crash on the couch. And I think I was at one of my lowest points when I forgot to pick my kids up from school. My son actually got out a little bit early that day, and it was a normal once a week early release day in kindergarten. And I fell asleep and I didn't wake up, and I didn't get him on time. The school was calling me and calling me. When I finally answered, it was about an hour after he should have been picked up, and he was waiting in the office crying. I came crying, and I just thought, oh, I cannot do this anymore. This is awful. I just can't do it anymore. So I really broke down. I really broke down, and I asked God, I said, something has to give. Something has to change. I cannot raise my kids like this. At that time, I was still seeing a naturopathic doctor, and I was actually going through some allergy treatments because my body was at such disarray that it would react to just about every single food I would eat. Anything I would eat, my body was just on high, high cortisol levels all the time. It was fight or flight all the time. That if I ate green beans, it was like, no, attack, attack. If I ate ice cream, attack, attack. If I ate anything, gluten, if I ate eggs, if I ate anything, it was just attack, attack. So I remember around that same time when my husband came to me one year for my birthday with a bowl of organic black beans with a candle in it, and he goes, happy birthday, because this is the only thing I could find that might not make you react adversely. And I'm going, this is awful. My life officially sucks. My life officially sucks. And so knowing I couldn't wake up in time to get my kids from school, and with so much pain and just a lot of despair, I was in a really deep depression because my life didn't look like it was getting any better. In fact, my naturopathic doctor said where my scleroderma was in my lungs and my kidneys and my liver, was starting to harden those organs from the inside out. She said, it looks like you probably have about 5 to 10 years left to live, because the scleroderma is overtaking your lungs, and eventually you're not going to be able to breathe in and out and do a full contraction to get the oxygen that you need. So we'll be likely putting you on an oxygen machine that you'll have to be carrying around, but at some point it's just going to stop, and it's like a long, slow suffocation. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was like in my 30s, about 34, 35 at this time, and I thought, this is not any way to live. This is awful. Something has to give. They're telling me I may not even see my children graduate from high school. It was awful. And I was still, though, holding on to natural ways of doing things. And I thought, I just don't feel like I want to get into all these medicines. And they were so scary to me because of what had happened when I was 18 with that adverse reaction. I just had this trauma around medication, and I just didn't feel like it was the way to go for me at that time. So I cried out to God, and I said, God, I need help. I need help. I need you to offer a lifeboat. I need something to get out of this, or just let me go. And then my husband can remarry somebody who is healthy and strong and fun for my kids, because I don't feel like I'm a good mom. I'm, so alone and feeling tired all the time. I can't even play with my kids and hardly walk them to school in the morning. So just take me or heal me. And I broke down to him and I said, and I'll tell you what, I know I'm not supposed to make deals with God. I get that. But I said, if you heal me, if you choose to heal me, I will tell anyone you put in front of me my story. I'll tell them my story of how you did it, how you changed it, and how you can continually change other lives as well. But I had those voices in my head. It was like, oh, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. And my community, I was taught and brought up in Bible reading and these miraculous stories of how he made the lame to walk and the blind to see. But it seemed like that was just things that God used to do in the olden days. I don't know anybody that could walk now that couldn't walk before, or was blind and now can see. That must be old biblical time stories. So I thought, well, maybe those stories are just for people in the past and not for anybody now. And I started to really research and dive into the Bible and ask God, are these things that you choose now? Is this something you could do for me now? Would you heal me in today's age, not just old biblical times? Are you still performing miracles? Are you still a God that heals? And I started to ask my community, my small Bible study group, and most people kind of said, well, what you might see is that he'll heal you emotionally so that you can be stronger emotionally to handle the physical ailments, to get through what you're going through in this traumatic illness that you have, all these illnesses. And I thought, that's a little God. That's a God that's little. My God is much bigger. And if I truly believe that this is a God that told Noah to build an ark and all these amazing miracles, then why would I be any less important than one of those biblical stories in which he would choose to not heal me? Why couldn't he do it for me? And why can't I hold on to a faith that is way bigger than what I'd ever seen before in anybody else? I didn't know these miraculous stories in anybody else, so I had to hold on to a faith that really only was something that was very personal, it's very individual. So I dove into the Bible and I started to research verses that had things to do with healing and what that looked like. And what I found is that in the Bible, there were no time stipulations on anything that said, oh, that was only for this time period, but now when you're living at this time period in the 2000s, that doesn't happen anymore. It didn't say that anywhere. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to claim this for me. I'm going to claim it for me, and I'm going to claim that I have a God who still does these because the God I believe in was the same yesterday, the same today, and he's the same tomorrow, which means he is a God of miracles and he is a God that chooses to do big things for people. And everything I kept reading is it said, your faith has healed you. Your faith has healed you. Your faith has healed you. And I thought that I'm going to have faith that will heal me. And I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if one day I'll wake up and magically I just feel amazing and all my symptoms are gone. I don't know, but I'm going to live on a faith that says that he is going to do that for me. And when he does, I will tell my story. And so as you can imagine, I'm here telling you my story because I'm not going to say I'm 100% healed. I still struggle with some things here and there, but I have done a 180 for sure. For sure. That was in February of 2012 when I cried out to God and I said to him, I will tell them my story, just show me what I need to do. He started to put things in front of me like meditation. And in my world at that time, the word meditation actually kind of had a woo-woo like background to it. And it was one of those words that was like, oh, meditation means that I need to go climb up on a mountaintop, shave my head, get out a mat, and sit and go, and empty my mind. I didn't really know what it meant. And that's the impression that I got. But then I thought, well, darn it, it's in the Bible. This word meditation is all over the Bible. So it's not a woo-woo word. It's a God word. What does he have to say about meditation? And maybe I need to explore this further. So I dove into this word meditation and what it meant and what the Bible had to say about it. And I started to practice meditation in my closet. So I would drop off my kids at school. I would come home. I'd light a candle, one that was non-scented because those scented ones would give me headaches. But the flicker of the candle, I would just stare at it and I would look at it and I would start to meditate. And I would take the verse that says, be still and know that I am God. And I took it just with one word because that was all that I could comprehend at that time and all that I could manage at that time. And I took the very first word of be and I just meditated. I thought upon, I prayed upon, what did the word be mean? What is it to just be? And then I did that for a day or two. And then the next couple days, I added the word still. And I thought about the word still because to me, at that time, the word still was almost incomprehensible as well. Because my body just felt like it was always jittery. It was just like constant go, 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 go. And to think of the word still was really a stretch for me, believe it or not. So I'd stare into that candle flicker and I would just picture a pond in the middle of the mountains and what my cells would look like if I was to just calm them down, like the stillness of that pond, and really think about being still and just breathing and not worrying about the rest of the world. Just be still. And over time, I continued this practice of being in my closet, and I would take a word and meditate it, take a verse and meditate on it. And I would add some other things into my life that God was showing me at that time about how I could help my body get better and heal and learn a new behavior. And what I learned is that my mind had a lot to do with this. As I was practicing that meditation and learning to control my thoughts, my mindset began to shift. And I realized that I had a choice on how my body was responding to things and how my mind was thinking about things. And I started to develop a real love and a passion for a verse in the Bible that says, take captive your thoughts. And the beginning of that verse, it says that we demolish the arguments, we take captive our thoughts so that we can transform what we're thinking. And I started to put all my thoughts into what I call thought jail. And I would take the arguments that were happening on the day of, oh, I feel so terrible. Oh, and I would demolish those arguments and put them into thought jail. And I would ask myself, what is true here? What is truth? Is this true? And how can I know what God is saying about me and about my wellness, about my health? And I started to really be able to take captive my thoughts and reset what I was thinking. So I remember waking up one morning and I woke up and I felt so terrible. Everything hurt. I mean, my my glands were swollen, I had rashes, my aches and pains and my joints and everything was awful. And I woke up and I just went, oh, everything hurts. I said, no, no, no. Take captive your thought. Ask yourself, is that true? So I asked myself, does everything really hurt? Everything? Everything's a really big, dramatic word. So I asked myself, is everything really hurt? And I said, no, not everything. I got to find something that doesn't hurt. And what I found is that my nose didn't hurt. My nose. I was like, okay, my nose doesn't hurt. And I started to focus on my nose. And I thought, isn't it cool that I have a nose? I mean, not everybody has a nose. And that's the truth. Like, my nose isn't like the cutest nose ever, but it's not terrible. Like, it's a fine nose. It's good. It works. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can smell out of my nose. Not everybody has a sense of smell. I am so grateful that I can smell out of a nose on my face. This is so cool. And I can even breathe out of my nose. And not everybody can breathe. I know a lot of people that, have a lot of trouble breathing out of their nose. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can breathe. I have a nose. I can smell. Wow, this is so great. All this stuff. I'm going to focus on my nose today. And I'm going to get out of bed and I got to use the restroom. Oh, everything hurts when I get out of bed. No, everything doesn't hurt. Your nose doesn't hurt. I'm going to focus on my nose. I'm going to focus on my nose, focus on my nose. And I went into a state of gratitude. I took captive my thoughts. I was quick to learn how to grab onto those big dramatic thoughts like everything hurts and that victim mentality. And I thought, nope, put it into thought jail, reverse it, and focus on your nose. Focus on your nose, focus on your nose. So I focused on my nose and I was like, okay, this was a better day. The next day, I got out of bed. I thought, oh, everything hurts. And nope, take captive that thought. Not everything hurts. In fact, not only does not everything hurt, but your nose doesn't hurt and your ears don't hurt. And I started to focus all these things on like gratitude instead of the pain and the victimhood and all the things that were going wrong. And I started to focus on the things that were going right and give gratitude for them. And my state of being started to physically change. It started to become happier and more joyful, and I felt less stressed. And now I'm not here to just say, think happy thoughts and everything's going to be fine. In fact, there were some days I felt much worse and I was feeling worse and worse. And I had told my mom, actually, I said, Mom, I believe God is going to heal me. I believe he said he was going to heal me. And she goes, well, he might just be, healing you emotionally. And I said, no, I think he's really going to heal me. And she wasn't really on board with me. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. I have to keep my faith. And then I told my husband, I think he's going to heal me. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. Because he saw the reality. He lived with the reality of what I was. He knew how sick I was. And I said, well, that's okay. It's not your faith. It's my faith. It's my faith that he says is going to heal me. So I stayed in my zone and I kept the faith and I kept taking captive my thoughts and changing it over to focusing on gratitude and love and things that were going well instead of things that were going horrible. And God continued to put tools in my toolbox. And over time, in about a year's time, I actually was almost 100% symptom free. I was feeling so good. So good. And I'm thinking, is this real? Is this real? Because I am feeling better than I have felt since I was 15 years old. Is this real? And I told my younger brother and he said, well, you might be feeling that way, but you're probably bottling it all up inside and one of these days you're going to just explode. And I thought, maybe. But today I feel really good, so I'm going to stay in where I feel today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but today I feel really good. So I'm going to stay in this mindset today. I'm going to continue my faith. I'm going to continue my gratitude and my joy and using and doing the tools that God has given to me, and I'm going to stay there today. And I don't know what tomorrow will bring. And years went by, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. 6 years. And I finally started to have the confidence and the courage to share my story, because I was still sort of in an unbelief, like, is this true? Can I share with people that this works? Because what if tomorrow I feel really terrible again? But then over a couple of years, I thought, I need to start telling people this is actually working. This is doing good for me. And so I started to share my story. And life is not perfect. Life is hard. I went through a traumatic experience in 2017, and this was 5 years after I was feeling really, really good. And that traumatic experience didn't have any toll on my health immediately, but what I found was it did set me back a little bit. And over the last couple of years, I've had some symptoms that have come back up again. But I'm so excited because I still have those tools in my toolbox. I still have that faith that no one will ever be able to take away from me. And it's a faith that's between me and God. It's not a faith that anyone else could believe for me. It's a faith I had to believe in myself, and I still have that faith. And that faith is helping me press on to the next goal and to the next level of my health. What I know is that these tools have literally changed the outcome of my life, because now it's been almost 9 years. They told me I had 5 to 10 years left to live, and I still feel amazing. I'm vibrant, I'm energetic, I'm here sharing my story. I feel amazing, I feel happy, I feel joyous, and it's not stopping anytime soon. I would love to share with you further my tools in my toolbox, to share exactly how I did it when I started to learn how to focus in the areas that would be serving me as opposed to destroying me. How I started to take my pain and turn it into my power and use it for my health. So I'm excited to share with you and continually share with you the tools in my toolbox and how I continue every single day to use these and grow and learn and get better and better and better. So thank you for watching. I'm so excited. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear where you're at right now. And I'd love to continue to chat with you further about how we can grow and learn and develop and get better together.